Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today we're back in the writer's room. So we already worked through part of the finale writers podcast and it got heated, so I had to cut it. So we are back and we're going to continue on to listen to Michael Patrick, you know what, try to justify this pile of poop that he handed us. So let's get into this. But first, check out my merch, link below. I got Midnight Toast, Justice for Steve. It's a load of pants. Or find me on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. So remember in the first episode, they spent most of the time talking about a stupid lamp. Well, here we are, and they're still talking about a stupid lamp. They haven't gotten into the writing at all. They're just talking about the stupid lamp. So here we go.
To start thinking about her feelings about kissing somebody else.
Yes.
And then the other gentle push we give her is from John's brother. He meets her for lunch and basically says,
okay, I could spend like 14 hours talking about that scene where they met for lunch. It made no sense at all. She reminded him that Big died. Again, this is Big's brother. Then she says to his face, oh, I thought you maybe had early onset. It's so cringy and horrible. And he's talking about, a family plot. And I understand that would probably not be her thing. She wanted to do something different. Fine. But it was just an awful scene.
Where's John?
Now, I just want to add that on set, I think this was one of the only times I can remember Sarah Jessica having a hard time getting through the scene for some reason. He couldn't, every time she had to admit that for a minute she thought he might be, senile. Demented or senile or having early onset. She just thought it was the funniest.
Hang on. Was that scene supposed to be funny? Did you guys take it that way? I totally missed that. I don't think it was funny. And it's not like, oh, I'm offended. No, it's just, it wasn't a particularly funny scene. She just came across like an asshole, but what else is new?
She couldn't keep a straight face in that scene. It was really
Every time he
really
said,
funny.
Where's John?
Yes.
He just has the best poker face.
And
I will say when I read that, when I got the draft, it made me chuckle so hard.
And Sarah Jessica at the table when he said, where's John? And she said, he's dead.
So this is my wade through the bullshit moment of this part. They wrote this nonsense. Carrie's saying this, and they're acting like it's the funniest thing they've ever heard. That's pretty much the only line Carrie can utter, especially this last episode. My husband's dead. My husband's dead. And then at the beginning of the episode, we're hit with, my husband's dead, so I win. What?
That was the line that she got to say that she loves so much. And this has one of my favorite pitches of all time that I've ever experienced actually happening to me was when Julie took a piece of paper and started drawing like that the brother would illustrate where the bodies were in the crypt.
Oh my gosh, you guys, the laughter. I cannot with this intense laughter at everything that Michael Patrick King says.
That made me so happy that was a way of making that scene so real that Julie just started drawing it. It was amazing.
We were in your office. I remember when we were how we were wrestling through that scene. And yeah, it was a way of showing that he's both, it's this very emotional thing for Carrie, and he's turned it into this.
Man, they're proud of themselves, aren't they? When's the last time you took a look at your work and just said, I did a really good job there? No. Laughing at your own jokes and, oh gosh, it's a lot.
Logistical, yes, an algorithm, a math.
Like it's real estate.
It's like...
Right.
But also he does point out to her, he draws a little square and says, you could be here and the two of you could be together forever. Which when you hear somebody saying something like that, it just is ridiculous.
So they wrote that bullshit. They handed it to us again in the finale and they're saying it's ridiculous. And then they're shocked that we hated the whole series and this episode especially.
Sweet and hilarious.
Well, you're not going to be together because you're ashes.
Well, and it really pushes her to figure out
where he needs to be.
Where should he be?
Because he's on a shelf next to her very best shoes. And
Yep. asshole move. I called it before. And double asshole move because she told his brother he was on the shelf next to her shoes.
And she all of a sudden, for the first time, it's like somebody turned a light on, goes like, you're ignoring this. And then he says it's coming up on a year, which is our way of saying to the viewers, if you've been tracking this is a year.
Yeah.
Also,
You know, that was one of my huge issues with the entire series is the nonsense timeline. We would be told that it was 3 months and then we'd see seasons passing that didn't make sense. And now we're told it's a year. It just didn't make any sense.
So I believe that sometimes the people closest to the person who suffered the death, they couldn't be the one to do it. Someone else, he had to come in and give her the nudge.
And also ownership of the body. Like, I own him too.
Mm-hmm.
He's my brother.
Yeah, we're waiting.
Sure, I could see where people would do that in real life and it becomes a point of contention, but this is a show. The original show was Sex and the City, and I've been told many times this is not that show. Oh, I know it's not that show. But it just doesn't make any sense here. I know I keep saying it doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't. It doesn't belong here. I don't know what they're doing. They only had however many minutes, even though it felt like an eternity, to, get a point of view across, and this is what they're choosing to spend their time on.
Who's going to win? Is he going with my family or what's your better plan? Which opens Carrie to the second chamber of her storyline, which is, where does Big want to be?
Yeah.
Where does Big want to be? But before that, she leaves that lunch and returns to the lamp store.
I like to think that little pause was Michael Patrick Dickhead realizing how absurd and ludicrous this storyline is.
Where she has taken the lamp earlier and says it just comes on weirdly by itself. And the clerk, repairman.
The way he speaks irks me so much. It's so self-congratulatory. He's like thick with it.
Says, that's very strange. Which you just is like, okay, I got one more in heaven camp.
Right.
One more in heaven.
It is, isn't it?
Leading the witness.
It is. She's like, yeah. And then this time he says, I fixed it. It was a wire.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite moments of her performance when she's disappointed. It's a tiny moment of, oh, it was a wire.
And while I heard the line, I didn't even clock it as being anything. It was just stupid. It was an awkward moment of silence in a lamp store.
Okay,
It takes out the magic.
The magic, yeah.
He's gone. It wasn't a gentle reminder, but he's gone. Also, before that, though, as you start to go through taking inventory, the first person she tells about the kiss is Seema, who is the newest friend. The second people she tells are Charlotte and Miranda, who are the 100-year-old friends. And then the final card that's not being played is her telling Samantha.
Yeah.
And the fun thing that happens in the diner scene is we start all the storylines in one scene, which is very classic Sex and the City.
So I actually had a few comments saying you did get the Sex and the City vibe just for a minute around this part. And I've gone back and watched it to see if I can get it, and I don't. And I'm trying not to let all this negativity cloud my judgment. I'm trying to really see it to see if I can get that vibe of the original series, and I just don't. I just don't.
These storylines. One person says something. Miranda's storyline starts, ooh, I'm meeting Chase family. Charlotte has that Charlotte explosion of, ooh, things are going well. And Carrie says, I love that you're still that girl. And then Charlotte gets a text from who?
The Rabbi Jen. And we learn that Charlotte has been at the very, very late hour. I think we said it was 2 weeks before the mitzvah. All the other rabbis have fallen out, alleged family emergencies. And, thank God they've gotten this trans rabbi. And who better to preside over a day mitzvah than a trans.
So here's the part of the episode where I called it before, and I'll say it again. This is box tick bingo.
Rabbi. And so we set up that Charlotte, over the course of this season, has gone from struggling and wrestling with her child's gender exploration to fully on board, embraced it, trans rabbi
Built a party around
built-
it.
rebranded the term from bar.
So I got a lot of comments around this, and so many, the overwhelming majority just went back to Charlotte was kind of a terrible mom here, and that she was more worried about how the party was looking and coming across versus how her child was handling things. And, I kind of got to agree a little bit. It was, again, I got to go, it's terribly written, right? It didn't really make sense. It took a talking to from LTW to get her to go back and actually talk to her kid about it. Don't even get me started on the kids. These are the worst kids. Lily, Rock, what's his name? The Miranda's son, just awful.
Or bat mitzvah to they mitzvah. And of course, we know something's got to go wrong.
And then we meet Rabbi Jen, played by Hari Neff.
Oh, my God.
Who is one of the strongest appearances I've ever, she walks in and it's like, oh, okay, that's her show now.
Yeah.
For that scene is hers. But before she comes in, we do have Anthony, which is so great. And he has his hot fellas bread business.
Oh, my God. Now, Elisa is a pro at making challah and knew a lot about this. We decided that we had to bring in the hot fellas guys because, as we mentioned, we always got bread on the days that we shot with the hot fellas.
But also, it's a storyline. Rather than shy away from a lot of shows introduce an element that's a thing, and then they don't ever address it again.
Right.
And,
Oh my gosh, you have to go back and watch my video where I literally go over every single plot line that they just don't address. They throw out these seeds and they don't follow up and address them. So I love that they're saying other shows do this. They are the worst I maybe have ever seen about doing that.
Our two kind of abstract thoughts were the podcast, which became very real, and the Hot Fellas, which was like a funny business. And we actually were able to follow it through, A, because it's funny to us. We get free bread. We get to see those acid-washed little Abner Hot Fella uniforms. And it's a great color for Anthony. So he comes up with what, Lise?
So he comes up with sourdough challah, which I did a little bit of research. It does exist. I've never seen it offered anywhere. In fact, I did also Google search, is there sourdough challah in New York City? To this date, I have not found it.
The only thing you can't find on all of Google.
One day, maybe I will try and make it.
Business, yeah.
But yeah, we always think, what would the characters really do? And I think Anthony really would have made sourdough challah for its event.
And it was also a perfect way, hearkening back to episode 3, when Anthony gives Charlotte a little bit of tough love advice to show that when he hears that Rock is dragging their feet and not practicing, not rehearsing, isn't ready.
So I actually love Anthony for this part. I thought he did a great job. He is the only one not afraid to go have a conversation with Rock and be like, what the hell's your problem? This is your moment. What are you doing?
That it's Anthony who goes in there and is like,
cracking
get
that
your
whip.
shit together. Like, this is not a dress rehearsal.
And I should also add that Julie and I, this very year, both were blessed enough to, while we were working on the show, throw bat mitzvahs for our respective daughters. So we had a lot to, and I can speak for myself. I did.
Everything's about them always. The stories can't just continue without something to do with them. It's so self-important. And no wonder the storylines suck so bad.
Actually learn a portion of my daughter's Torah portion as I, a little bit supervised her rehearsal of the event. So
this is where it becomes clear Lisa's a much better mother or Jewish mother.
The shocking thing about a finale episode, specifically this one, when you talk to production, is somebody said to me, there are 3 parties in this one episode. There's the They Mitzvah, which we always knew was going to be giant and fantastic and art directed.
The Rainbow High.
The Rainbow High and Charlotte.
Candy
and
the
candy bars.
The service and the
And
party.
then there what turns into be a party, which Miranda thinks she's going to meet Che's family.
An intimate dinner.
And dresses oddly like she's going to Easter dinner.
First of all, no, it's a mother of a bride dress. Second of all, what if you know it's ridiculous, why is she wearing it? Why did Che make that whole huge production in front of her family and Miranda about moving? If she truly wanted Miranda to go with her, she would have discussed it with her. To me, it felt like she was making Miranda the afterthought, to which I say, haha, Miranda serves you right.
Like she's wearing a pretty pink, presentable femme dress.
Oh my gosh, what is he talking about? They need to start over. They need to get rid of him, and they need to get rid of Molly Rogers, the costumer, immediately.
To meet the parents or the grandparents. And she walks into another party she wasn't expecting, which is this big nightclub party.
Oh, we know. It just shows how much they don't communicate with each other.
And then the third party is the bizarre and fresh Jackie wedding to smoke.
The surprise wedding, yeah.
The surprise wedding.
Bizarre and fresh. Okay.
So let's just talk a little bit about Miranda's not parent Easter dinner that she walks into.
I had no idea.
She just keeps repeating, I had no idea, because Che has a big surprise. You're not just meeting my parents, you're meeting everyone I love, and I'm going to sing.
What? That's a completely normal way to present big news to your friends and family, right?
And tell you I'm going to California.
Through song.
Through song.
Through the Beach Boys.
So the idea of Che singing, you know, Sada Ramirez has an amazing voice. They won a Tony for Spam-A-Lot. They're a Broadway singer. They have a lot of soul. So it was like, okay, what are they going to sing? And I wanted it to be odd and a little silly. And so I knew that Che was going to announce California. So I thought about California, then California Girls.
He really thinks every single idea that pops in his head is like the most brilliant thing ever, right?
Sung by someone of a non-binary gender. And then you see Miranda sitting between them, and they all have gray hair.
Right.
Which never experienced until that moment. We're like, oh my God, there's 3 women who love Che, and they all have gray hair. And then Che announces they're going to California. Now, Cynthia, come on. Cynthia's...
Well, we've set up at the beginning of the episode that she's relieved that this family meeting is happening because after the fight, I think Miranda was feeling insecure. So this feels like another badge of things are going well. And then as she's watching Che sing the line, East Coast Girls.
I really dig the way the clothes they wear.
Yes, and you see Miranda look a little flattered, a little like, who me? And then
again, this is all the dumb shit they've written that they're so proud of. The reaction that they are giving at retelling all the things that they've written down, I don't know why it still shocks me, but it does.
Obviously turns into this reveal, and you see Miranda trying to keep a good, she's a bad thing? She's so game and kind of trying to pretend like I'm down with this. And of course, inside she's dying.
Miranda's been such an asshole throughout this series that I was actually hoping that is what was happening, that Che was dumping her, and then she'd have to be left to sort out her miserable life on her own. Okay, I think I'm going to call it here. It's been something. We can still get one more part of this. If you guys want to keep going, we can. We can finish it out and just hear how they end this episode and the nonsense. But thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check back, and I will get that last part up. Hope you have a fantastic week. Check back lots. I got all kinds of videos going up. Take care. Stay healthy, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.